From translation, NIV New International Version. This 10th day of the year. Today we are reading passages Genesis 30 to 31. Genesis chapter 30, verses 1 to 43. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. So she said to Jacob, "Give me children, or I'll die." Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in the place of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" She said, "Here is my servant Bilhah. Go sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and that through her I too can build a family." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Then Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. He has listened to my voice and given me a son." Because of this she named him Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "What good fortune," so she named him Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, "How happy I am, the women will call me happy," so she named him Asher. During wheat harvest, Reuben went out and found some mandrake plants in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take my son's mandrakes too?" "Very well," Rachel said, "he can sleep with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You are to sleep with me. I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a fifth son. Then Leah said, "God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband." So she named him Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, "God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Some time later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, "God has taken away my disgrace." She named him Joseph and said, "May the Lord add to me another son." After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children, for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I've done for you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He continued, "Name your wages, and I will pay them." Jacob said to him, "You know how I have worked for you, and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for my own household?" "What shall I give you?" asked Laban. "Don't give me anything," Jacob replied. "But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages, and my integrity will testify for me in the future whenever you check on your wages concerning any goat in my possession. If there is any goat there that is not speckled or spotted or dark-colored, it came from stolen animals." "Agreed," said Laban. "Let it be as you have said." That same day Laban removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, all that had any white on them, and all the dark-colored ones among the sheep, and he placed them in the care of his sons. He put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob, however, took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs, so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. The flocks were in heat when they came to drink. And they mated in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set the young apart, and those belonging to Laban's flocks he did not put with Jacob's flocks. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in the troughs in front of the animals, so they would mate near the branches, but if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban and the strong ones to Jacob. In this way the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks, female servants and male servants, and camels and donkeys. Genesis chapter 31, verses 1 to 55. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned, and has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father." And Jacob saw that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." So Jacob sent word and called Rachel and Leah to come to the field where his flocks were. He said to them, I see that your father's attitude toward me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, the speckled animals will be your wages, then all the flocks gave birth to speckled offspring, and if he said, the streaked animals will be your wages, then all the flocks gave birth to streaked offspring. So God has taken away your father's livestock, and has given them to me. In the mating season I had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats that were mating with the female goats were streaked, speckled and spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob, and I said, Here I am. Look up, he said, and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled and spotted, for I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land. Then Rachel and Leah replied to him, Do we still have any share in our father's inheritance? Doesn't he regard us as foreigners? He not only sold us, but he used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Paddan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with everything he had, crossed the Euphrates, and headed for the hill country of Gilead. On the 3rd day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. That night God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream and said to him, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. When Laban caught up with Jacob, Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead. Laban and his relatives pitched theirs there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you. But the God of your father spoke to me last night and said, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered Laban, I was afraid, because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. Anyone you find who has your gods will not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me and take it. If you find anyone of yours among all my possessions, let them die. But Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the idols. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he did not find the gods. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through the whole tent but did not find them. She said to her father, Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period. So he searched but could not find the household gods. Jacob became angry and took up his case with Laban. Jacob said to Laban, What is my crime? What sin have I committed that you have hotly pursued me? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of our relatives and theirs, and let them judge between the 2 of us. For 20 years I have been with your daughter and your father. I worked for your daughter those 14 years, and for your goats 6 years, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the animals I was mated with were torn by wild beasts, I did not bring you the torn carcass. I bore the loss myself. You required me to make good any loss that occurred during the day, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. It was like this with me. The heat consumed me by day and the cold by night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your goats, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the labor of my hands, and last night he rebuked you. Laban answered Jacob, The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between us. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, Gather some stones. So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban named it Jegar-Sahadutha, and Jacob named it Galeed. Laban said, This heap is a witness between you and me today. That's why it was named Galeed. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar that I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. Jacob offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to eat a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night in the hill country. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughter and blessed them. Then Laban left and returned home.